At last I have it. Mr. Scruples, the contract has been signed, naming you impresario and general manager for the Court Theatre for the coming season.
I don't believe it. Anyways, it is too late. I've made up my mind to retire to the country and farm.
But Mr. Scruples, I expected you to be so happy.
Happy? My application has been subjected to such endless delays that my cash, my credit, and my enthusiasm are all gone. I'm tired of all the intrigues and jealousies that plague an impresario. I repeat, I am turning farmer.
Well, don't I know how you feel? I too have known frustration. And if you'll only allow me to sing a few well-chosen roles, I will gladly shoulder all of your burdens.
My poor Bluff, you're a good fellow, but we've been all through this before. If I were to allow you to sing, the public would butcher us both. Besides, I have in mind a season of classical drama, which, God be praised, requires no singers.
But, Mr. Scruples, the Minister of Education has decreed that the entire season must be devoted to opera.
Opera? A ridiculous Italian disease that won't last.
Mr. Scruples, how can you say such a thing?
Opera requires too much extravagant expense.
Mr. Scruples, that may have been true 30 years ago, but today opera can be produced quite economically.
What about all the singers which opera requires?
The up-to-date impresario engages only 3 kinds. First, those fallen stars whose fees have shrunk with their range. The public will accept anything from a famous name.
That is one kind.
Then some beginners whose obvious shortcomings will be to your credit. Since you are giving native talent a patriotic chance, you pay them nothing.
And I suppose the third group pays me?
Absolutely. These are the ones more blessed with the goods of this world than with talent or voice.
I see. So that the low fees of your fallen stars are paid by the rich amateurs. The singers will cost me nothing.
Yes, Mr. Scruples.
Yes, and were there a few women waiting outside? Oh, yes.
Speaking of fallen stars, here they are now, right on time.
I see.
Welcome, ladies. Come right in. Mr. Scruples, allow me to introduce to you the Zingspiel sisters.
Ladies.
How do you do?
Hello, Mr. Scruples.
It is Scruples, madam.
Well, however you wish to pronounce your name is your business. My sister and I have prepared 2 of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's finest arias to sing for you. I will perform Fedra Carino from Don Giovanni.
And I will be singing L'Ho Perduta, which was written for me 10 years ago. It means I have lost it.
Clearly. Well, I've never heard of this Mozart you speak of. No matter, please.
Miss Zingspiel.
Yes.
Tir fuori
Brava! Wonderful! Miss Singspiel.
Oh, I am looking for a lost key. L'ho perduta, mi meschina, a chissà dove sarà, a chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo, non la trovo, l'ho perduta, meschina, a chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo, non la trovo, l'ho perduta, meschina, oh chissà dove sarà. E mio cugino, il padrone, cosa dirà? Cosa dirà?
Brava! Splendid!
Well, you both have lovely voices, but I'm afraid that
What Mr. Scruples means is that he would like to offer you each a contract of 50 crowns a week.
Mr. Bluff.
Please, Mr. Scruples, you won't find a steal like this any old day.
All right, but only so long as they stick to the mid-range soubrette roles and learn some standard arias.
Ladies, your contracts.
Yes.
Thank you. No, not there.
Ah, yes, thank you.
And there.
Thank you, Mr. Scruples.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Never mind. What kind of operas could one mount with singers recruited by such distasteful, not to say dishonest means?
Only the very best. Those authentic masterpieces which require more acting of a singer than singing.
What about the costumes, the scenery, the lighting, the mob scenes?
Nothing simpler. Announce that you are going to modernize opera. To achieve a sense of intimate communication, you eliminate mob scenes.
A splendid way to shorten a lengthy work.
And to highlight the hidden meanings and introspective conflicts, we dispense with scenery and play everything before black drapes.
That eliminates the designers and the painters.
And most of the stagehands. And to promote the utmost realism, we play in modern dress, no costumes.
And no legs.
And to intensify the atmospheric moods, we will use very little light. This is desirable for most singers and will save you a pretty penny each week in wax candles. What do you say to these ideas, Mr. Scruples?
Why, I say that they are deeply repugnant to everything I have ever believed in and fought for in the theater. Decidedly, I prefer to become a farmer than to become a party to such utter degradation of good taste.
But, Mr. Scruples, good taste is just an expression forever on the lips of those who cannot bring themselves to swallow it.
Are you seriously suggesting I should stoop to buying success?
Is there a surer way? Oh, Mr. Scruples, if you had only seen what my father had to go through to make his restaurant pay, you would realize that you can only afford to list foie gras and truffles on your bill of fare if your kitchen is churning out sausages and sauerkraut.
My poor Bluff, you yourself don't believe the half of what you say. If you were really the scoundrel you sound like, I would urge you to forget your singing, which you should do anyway, and take over my position, though not my name.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Scruples, but I am really an artist at heart, and I feel that I could serve you best on the stage. Don't you agree, Mr. Scruples? I see you don't.
Cheer up, Bluff. Since it doesn't matter what we think, we haven't enough credit to print the tickets, let alone undertake a whole season. And you've committed me to 50 crowns a week.
I know things look very dark, Mr. Scruples, but there is a potential dawn just outside. Mr. Angel has been waiting to see you the past quarter of an hour.
Mr. Angel, the Viennese banker? That stage-struck haunter of soprano dressing rooms. What does he want?
I can guess. He was at the ministry when your license was being issued and came to see you at once. I'll show him in, but please, Mr. Scruples, don't be too hasty.
My dear director, Salzburg is indeed fortunate in its choice of an impresario. I rather envy you, you know?
I don't see why you should, but thank you, just the same.
Because I need your help. And if I were you, I could simply help myself.
But what can I do for you, Mr. Angel?
Quite a lot, Mr. Scruples, quite a lot. Between men of the world and of business, much like ourselves, preliminaries are a waste of time, so I shall come to the point.
Mr. Scruples, Mr. Angel is coming to the point.
Thank you, Bluff. Pray do, Mr. Angel.
As you are probably aware, I have maintained a close relationship with one of the lyric stage's brightest ornaments, Madame Goldentrill.
The Madame Goldentrill? Such singers are not heard from anymore. Truly magnificent. I remember her debut in Budapest nearly 30 years ago. She recently retired, I believe.
Yes, and no. Confidentially, I had hoped the amenities with which I am so privileged to provide would help her forget the stage. But it seems Madame misses the excitement and is determined to make a whole series of farewell performances.
I see. And she would like to appear with this company?
Mr. Scruples, it is a pleasure to converse with such a perceptive man. You should have been in business. Of course, my life would simply not be worth living unless you engage her. It would mean a great deal to me, I assure you.
The truth is, problems of repertoire.
What Mr. Scruples means, Mr. Angel, is that the repertoire in which Madame Goldentrill would naturally wish to appear is beyond the resources of our company.
But I said it would be worth a great deal to me. 10,000 crowns, to be precise. Of course, Madame realizes it has been some time since you've heard her, and malicious tongues are never idle. So, she is in fact waiting in her carriage and is willing to audition. I shall go and fetch her.
I'm afraid...
What Mr. Scruples means, Mr. Angel, is that this room is hardly suitable acoustically for an artist of Madame Goldentrill's exceptional vocal power. But if Madame will overlook this inconvenience, Mr. Scruples will be happy to hear her and renew a precious friendship.
Are you insane? Never in my life have I accepted money from a singer, and I don't propose to start now.
Please don't be angry, Mr. Scruples. I only wanted you to have your season for which you have worked so hard. 10,000 crowns is a fortune, which will allow you to redeem Madame Goldentrill's performances, which will sell out, of obscure productions of masterpieces that no one wishes to hear.
But my principles, my ideals, my reputation... Let me go to my farm before she arrives.
You would only collide with her on the stairs. No, Mr. Scruples, it is the purpose to which money is put, not its source, which is important. Are churches not built off the offerings of sinners?
Perhaps, but not all sinners are singers.
Naughty, naughty, naughty boy. I know you have been in Salzburg at least 6 months, and you never came to call.
Forgive me, my dear lady, but the...
My dear, you must not hold it against our good friend, Mr. Scruples, who has been incredibly busy arranging all the conflicting details of a brilliant season.
Why, Mr. Scruples has been on the point of paying you a visit at least 100 times, while only yesterday he was wondering if it might not be possible to induce you to lend luster to our season.
Oh, I'm sure he was. We have always been such friends. Who are you, may I ask?
Allow me to present my assistant and colleague, Mr. Bluff, madam.
Your assistant and colleague. How nice. Such an intelligent expression.
Oh, thank you, madam. May I have your autograph?
But of course. There. Now, my dear director, I will sing for you. I want you to hear how my voice has developed in the upper register without losing one of those dark, lustrous, pear-shaped tones for which my lower range is so famous.
I could not dream of asking an artist of your reputation to audition, madam.
Nonsense! Are we not all professionals? I insist. Just make yourselves comfortable, and I promise you will be amazed. Or break the tie. there, Mr. Scruples. I told you you'd be amazed.
Madam, words fail me.
As usual, my dear, you were unapproachable.
What a voice! What a musician! What art!
Why, Mr. Bluff, how nice. I see you are a connoisseur. Now, Mr. Scruples, you have heard what I can do. As my contribution to your success in Salzburg, I am prepared to accept all the dramatic leads and be content with a mere pittance, 500 crowns per week.
500 crowns! Madam, my circumstances.
Please, Mr. Scruples, it's Mr. Angel's money.
But I wouldn't pay 500 crowns, even for the great Castrato Farinelli.
What Mr. Scruples means, madam, is that he can hardly bear to think of money in connection with such art as yours.
Oh, my dear director, the delicacy of your sentiments more than makes up for the modesty of your offer. I shall be happy to appear as prima donna assoluta of your distinguished company. You are a shrewd bargainer.
Yes, of course. And now, my dear, if you will wait for me in your carriage, I shall quickly draw up a contract with Mr. Scruples, and perhaps afterwards, maybe he and Mr. Bluff can join us for a little celebration.
Yes, madam, artists should not be bothered with such dull business details.
But what is there to discuss or celebrate?
These gentlemen are quite right, Mr. Scruples. I find business discussions too sordid for words. I hope you won't be too long, so I shall simply say au revoir.
My dear Scruples, what a difference this is going to make in my life.
And in mine.
You have been so helpful, so understanding that I am emboldened to ask another favor.
Mr. Scruples is only too anxious to be of service, Mr. Angel. You must speak quite freely. Do.
Thank you. I shall. It just so happens, and for the life of me, I cannot understand how it came about that I have a protégée, a very young lady, who has yet to appear on stage, but who possesses the most remarkable aptitudes.
Do you mean to say that you are associating with two singers at once? I would think that one was enough.
Oh, Mr. Scruples, Mr. Angel is a true patron of the arts.
Let us put it this way. I am as fascinated by Madame Goldentrill's past as I am Miss Silverpeel's future.
And they both seem to have a distinct bearing on my immediate present.
Mr. Scruples, you are the soul of tactful wit. And now that you have strengthened my position with Madame Goldentrill, it would make me very happy if you would do the same for me with Miss Silverpeel.
Why don't you just build a theater of your own?
What Mr. Scruples means, Mr. Angel, is that expenses have a way of leaping right over the mood when an impresario has to make provisions for two stars in the same company.
Mr. Bluff, just what is your function in this company? You sound to me to be the prompter. You must allow me my little joke. Of course, you are quite right. The same holds true for my relations with the two ladies. I understand this so clearly that I am prepared to advance a further 15,000 crowns.
Advance, Mr. Angel?
I mean donate. What could I be thinking?
Do I understand you correctly? You mean to say that you are willing to pay 25,000 crowns to guarantee the engagements of these two ladies?
Precisely, Mr. Scruples, and you can keep all the profits. Mine will come from cheating my heirs and the tax collectors.
Well, surely there must be some conditions attached to such a princely offer.
My dear fellow, you have me all wrong. I only want to help. You see, I believe the people are entitled to opera, and it is up to persons like myself to see that they get it.
There you see, Mr. Scruples.
Of course, I will expect a modest voice in the general policy of the theater.
There, you see, Mr. Bluff?
I have always wanted to be an impresario, and you will find that I have splendid ideas of repertoire, opera in the vernacular, staging, casting, conducting, ticket sales, promotion, and cultural showmanship.
I never would have guessed it.
The business basis is my speciality. We financiers know a great deal about these things, believe me. It is true, I have no time for art or music, but I understand merchandising and what the people want.
You obviously understand quite more than I do.
I wouldn't say that, dear director, but to get back to Miss Silverpeel, she is waiting downstairs in her carriage, and I would like to bring her up so that you can judge for yourself if I have an eye for talent.
She's sitting with Madame Goldentrill? Congratulations. You're either a cad or else a born impresario who could certainly give us all lessons.
Don't be silly, dear chap. Of course not. They each have their own carriage and their own everything else beside. Now you can understand why I was so quick to grasp the double expense. I'll be right back.
Mr. Scruples, you must admit that our prospects are looking considerably brighter. Why, only an hour ago we had no money at all, and now we not only have 25,000 crowns, but plenty more where that came from.
Perhaps, but it all makes my farm seem more attractive. This whole operation is looking less and less like an opera company, and more like a...
Now, Mr. Scruples, don't say it.
With all those crowns flying about, I suppose you'll be wanting a raise? Not that I blame you.
Oh, I could do quite well for myself indeed. There are so many sources of revenue which are readily available to a man in my position. But they are not perhaps entirely ethical, and I would be reluctant to take advantage of them. Particularly if you could see it your way clear to augmenting my income by assigning me some suitable roles, at modest fees, of course.
My poor Bluff, that would be the greatest fraud of all. What a pair we are. You haven't the nerve to carry out your bluffs, and I seem to have lost the courage of my scruples.
Gentlemen, here is Miss Silverpeel, and let me assure you, her voice matches her form. Need I say more?
If I may say so, gentlemen, Mr. Angel does not exaggerate, as you can plainly see, and as you shall clearly hear.
What presence, what temperament, what looks.
And what refreshing modesty.
How I long to hold you tight, and my heart has but one pleasure, finding favor in your sight. Since your joy is my delight, but alack, the fondest rapture sometimes dims and fades away, though we tire from love's sweet flame. Its bliss we can't recapture, should not be tasted. Yes, because should we meet, freed from passion's sway, not a kiss will have been wasted. If we both can smile and say, happy yesterday. Love, my dearest treasure, how I long to hold you tight, and my heart has but one pleasure, finding favor in your sight, since your joy has made delight. Scruples may we leave behind us, nor shall care however wise from delight the hearts entice. The flames of passion blind us, no misgiving shall remind us of purpose, of stern advice. Let our present joy suffice. Future woes can pay the price of
Brava, brava! Didn't I tell you? Isn't she wonderful?
Marvelous. Perfect. What eyes. What lips. What?
Mr. Bluff!
What?
I will thank you to confine your enthusiasm to those details which fall in your proper professional province.
I meant no offense, Mr. Angel. I was only carried away.
Mr. Angel, I must confess I was most favorably impressed. Miss Silverpeel, in spite of your lack of previous experience, I'm prepared to offer you a contract. I will assign you smaller roles at first and pay you a salary of 250 crowns per week.
250 crowns a week. I have never been so insulted. Those are kitchen maids' wages.
My compliments, Mr. Angel. Your kitchens must be spotless.
I know my worth, and I refuse to be cheated by unscrupulous impresarios. If you want me in your company, you will have to give me the comedy leads and 750 crowns a week and a backstage maid.
In that case, madam, let me tell
What
you.
Mr. Scruples means, my dear. Good heavens! Now I'm doing it too! What I mean to say, my love, is that though it is most unusual, I will try to convince our good friend, Mr. Scruples, to give you all the comedy leads this season and 750 crowns per week. I shall provide the maid.
So, you'll provide the maid. Charming. That's why I was to wait downstairs while you arranged for this little turnip to get more than was offered to me.
Madam, pray compose yourself. It is quite simple, really.
Yes, my dear, I can explain everything. I was just settling the terms of your contract when this young lady arrived to audition for soubrette parts. As he values my judgment, Mr. Scruples begged me to stay and offer my opinion. That's all there was to it. Isn't that so, my dear Scruples?
Mr. Angel, do you happen to know whether chickens can simulate a chicken's production of eggs?
My dear fellow, what are you talking about?
The most progressive farmers seem to believe that music has the most favorable effect on a cow's production of milk. So I was wondering if the same might not be said for chickens. Eggs, not milk, of course.
Speaking about chickens, you haven't explained about the 750 crowns per week. I'm waiting.
Yes, my dear, it's perfectly obvious. I only backed up the demands of this young lady so that I could then get your fees raised in proportion.
Mr. Scruples, I have always understood you to be a man who knew his business. Do I need to point out that this amateur has no experience, no technique, and no method.
My method's flexibility explains my versatility.
A leading role requires some soul and breath control.
I've had the very best instruction,
But clearly not in voice production.
Aroused to indignation, artists strive for moderation. Please, although discussions inefficient, please, vituperations inefficient, I'll admit you're more proficient.
I'll have you note that perfect diction from which my lips project each one.
I have no fear of contradiction. She is the worst I ever had.
Recalm yourself, ignore her coarseness, you're so susceptible to hoarseness. Youth lacks finesse, yet must be heard. Recalm yourself, ignore her coarseness, you're so susceptible to hoarseness. I'd like to hear shut up for diction, which is correct, well enough vision. Once you appear in seen on her, there is often in the said. Once you appear in seen on her, there is often in the said. Some bad the ocean even said.
Youth is a liability.
So is advanced senility.
Please, her face and voice both plainly show it is finished, but she does not know it.
I am the pathetic stress and fault I must take on this side. My face notes, my sorrows,
Please, the poor old thing is all unstrung, for you're too fresh, too slim and young. Pian piano, pianissimo, pianissimo. When artists stoop to rude dissension, they harm the art they should protect.
I quite agree with your contention, but still I feel like it's all I can should return. That's why I
When artists stoop to rude dissension,
justified
For mention things they should not mention, no. But conduct is most incorrect. I know the best intentions can often have the worst effect. So attention, all who dissent not. It harms me, all they should protect and should not be allowed to go unchecked.
How good and durability.
You mean reliability?
You're out of fashion.
I give them passion.
Action. To cheer me. I would advise you not to count a cheering
Please, piano, 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 piano. Pianissimo, piano, calando, mancaro, di meglio inno, e crescendo, pian piano, pianissimo, pianissimo, pianissimo. Well, Mr. Scruples, what do you say to my handling of that discussion?
I must confess, I paid very little attention. The whole squabble filled me with an overwhelming nostalgia for my peaceful barnyard.
Well, I settled who's the prima donna of this company. Did you notice my staccato F? My sustained high E flat?
Flat. Yes. I.e. Never. I don't know who you are or what you are doing here, but I am the leading comedian of this company, and I am being paid no less than 750 crowns a week.
Well, let me assure you that I am the leading tragedian of this company, and I am being paid more than you. Whatever it is and whoever you are, I am the Madam Goldentrill.
Never heard of her. Must be before my time.
What, you little...
Oh, ladies, your hats.
Why don't we settle this little argument on a business basis? Why not agree to pay both ladies 1,000 crowns per week? Give them star billing and agree to print both of their names in larger type than both the authors and composers combined.
Larger than the conductors and all the tragic leads.
Larger than the directors and all the comic leads.
That settles it. All we need to do now is sign the contract. What do you say to my methods now, dear director?
I confess they get a certain type of result. But before we sign any contracts, I have an announcement to make. I am doing what I have dreamed of doing for years, and I'm resigning my position as impresario of this or any other company.
You're joking!
Not at all. I'm retiring to the farm, where I shall produce nothing but a series of tranquil pastorals.
No!
You
would desert us? Leave us in the lurch?
By no means. I hereby appoint my trusted colleague of many years, Mr. Bluff, as my successor.
Oh, Mr. Scruples, I am deeply grateful for all of your confidence. But all of this has convinced me that I would be happier on stage than I could ever be in administrative offices, at least until I retire as a singer.
I was afraid of that.
So my first act as impresario is to engage myself as leading buffo baritone for the coming season. My last act is to appoint Mr. Angel as the next impresario, effective immediately.
I knew my confidence in you was not mistaken.
Of course, this takes me quite by surprise. However, to a businessman, opera presents no real challenge. Once I have the company on a business basis, I shall be able to run it easily in my spare time.
Mr. Scruples, we are going to miss your broad experience.
Miss Silverpeel, you are best proof that experience is superfluous.
But what will happen to art and music when men like you are gone? Opera needs you, Mr. Scruples.
Do not worry about art or music, madam. They have endured for centuries, generally in spite of, not because of individuals. Opera will again, as in the past, have good and bad impresarios, but just as quacks cannot destroy medicine, false prophets cannot discredit religion. Opera occasionally loses skirmishes, but it invariably wins the battle for survival. And so, my friends, I wish you a very good day and bid you the success you so richly deserve.
My dear colleagues, we shall strive to uphold those high standards to which my distinguished, though not immediate, predecessor dedicated his life.
Hear, hear.
However, from this moment on, I shall not tolerate any infraction of the most businesslike discipline. No one seemed to take Mr. Scruples' repeated threats of retirement seriously. But let me assure you, should I retire, my backing will accompany me. And where will you be then?
Mr. General Manager, allow me to be the first to assure you of my wholehearted cooperation. I shall be content with whatever roles you assign to me, and I'm sure you will find my managerial advice invaluable.
Mr. Angel, I agree with Mr. Bluff. I am quite prepared to undertake such lesser parts as my inexperience may dictate, with full salary and top billing, of course.
No one would dream of asking me to sing minor roles. However, I am perfectly willing to limit myself to 2 farewell appearances this year, naturally with 1,000 crowns per week and star status for the whole season.
It is truly inspiring how putting art on a business basis harmonizes the most discordant of conflicts.
Let us toast to the indispensable man, the impresario, whoever he may be.
Past
Present,
And a future.
The impresario.
Every artist strives for glory and that extra curtain call. And why not? For applause intoxicates us all. It is still that same old story, doubtless true before the fall. It is clear that opera, if it weren't for this, there would be no art at all. Free applause is a tradition, but it should be shared by all. As a private proposition, is applause a good physician? When it makes a short man tall, yet can make an artist fall.
opera on a business basis is something I mean to test. I will find some fresh new faces so the public's not depressed. We will cut the breathing spaces, real artists never rest. Now we're on a business basis, so my friends, may I suggest you take care to do your best. I advise complete submission, send your backs or to the wall. Treat each
each one with deep suspicion play the knave and politician, for the shortest now seems tall, as the greatest artist full.
You are bound to be defeated, all to sin your kind before, and no doubt there will be more, but the public can't be cheated, their applause unchecked was sore, they will cry bravo encore for the artist that they've created with a thrilling shaking roar.
Every artist has a mission, though his public may be small. In the case of a musician, he must serve the composition and obey his inner call. As an artist he'll be told.
Opera's not such an operation. You just make sure your tones are round, and that, like mine, your methods sound. Love is a name destined to fame, and great acclaim. My life will be one long ovation. You'll never see this bluffing. That was D, yet I'm scarcely puffing. My notes make plain, though all too few, to persons of good taste like you, that I'll teach them a thing or two.
Art well